Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the September 14th new moon in Virgo. In this video, I will be telling you about the ways that the lunar cycles are working with our healing process right now. We have a lot to talk about as we are coming towards the equinox. We are about to change here into a season of fall here in the Northern Hemisphere, and this new moon in Virgo will be sort of tuning us to make that transition, which is a big one. This year. This year's equinox point is a really strong threshold that I'm seeing energetically. I'm seeing a lot of people come through the equinox threshold and realizing much more clearly how they need to move forward, what they need to do with themselves. There's going to be a lot of clarity coming in. There's going to be a lot of not clarity isn't even quite the right word. It's like a very bright and vibrant kind of brilliant vision that is on the line here. And it's going to be starting with the things that we implement here during new moon in Virgo. So as you guys know, if you've watched the September comprehensive astrology video, which I will link below, this is a highly retrograde period of time that we're in. Yes, just to confirm, as of this new moon, we have Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron in retrograde. Okay, so Venus was just retrograde as well. It's just turned direct, which is congratulatory for many of us. Here, I know that Venus retrograde in Leo over these summer months has been a very kind of overwhelming and cruel transit for a lot of people. So that has at least concluded. And this new moon in Virgo will be a nice kind of like chronological sort of healing process forward from that period of time. But there's still a lot of things to even out. Let me give you some of the intuitive messages that I got about this new moon in Virgo that I was meditating on. Okay, so there's a thinning out happening here with new moon in Virgo. Many things are now off the table. Many things which used to define our identities as well are now off the table. So this is a time where people's egos can go out of whack. I feel that collectively most of the self-perception or some of the validation that we've received from other people is moving away. So we start to definitely see an escalation of identity crisis if we don't know who we are during this time. So I would think that learning who we are, starting to develop a better internal vision of who we are, or at least a healthier internal vision of who we are, is a lot of what this time is creating. I'm seeing a growth of time for people. I'm seeing that with this thinning out, with some of these reductions, people are with more time, with more energy, and also with more vitality to understand some of the bigger or more important aspects of their spiritual journey. So whereas if we might have seen before that people's mind or thinking patterns were really caught up in sort of like small level inconveniences or getting really distracted by small aesthetic issues, we're getting more into the substantial questions during this time. It's not quite there, but as I've been saying in some of the 12 readings this month, there's a super potent Scorpio season coming this year that is going to totally show us the way that all of these previous momentums are culminating, and through that we will understand how to sort of like take aim in a different way with some of our pursuits and aspirations, but we're not quite there yet. So there's a time element that is in place here that deals with like slowly building up and not like rushing things too much. So definitely with this new moon in Virgo, try to kind of assess, am I rushing something? Am I trying to make things convenient for other people by like rushing myself or being many other people's, assistant, or trying to be too many people for too many people? That's going to be very clear during this time. Also, another very strong intuition that I have about this new moon in Virgo is that there is only a slight degree to which things can be modified in a substantial way. So we have this great ability right now to change the way we think, to change mindsets, to maybe shift small level behaviors, what we think is small, sixth house Virgo related behaviors, like the time of day that we're eating and sleeping, the types of diet that we have in our life, the things that we're focused on and not, the things that we're allowing our mind to be wrapped around, that can all be adjusted here. But as for some of those big things that a lot of us are thinking about, like these high-level careers, these big changes, like considering to switch industries, considering to move to a different kind of geography or a different country, or to do some type of very grand shift, I'm feeling this very strong in the collective. There's this sort of like fraying happening. I would almost describe it at like a collective level where it's like, I know everything that I can know about certain long-running momentums. Like if you've been working a job for 10, 20 years, during this time, you would kind of get this feeling like, I know all there is to know, or I've become a master of this. What's next for me? I'm feeling a lot of people like wanting that like next horizon, especially if you have like long-running commitments that you have kind of like done it with, you know what I mean? However, it's not really the right time to totally detach and push in to something totally new. I mean, look at all these retrogrades. Look at Pluto retrograde, 28 degrees of Capricorn. It's going to move back to 27. It's still moving backwards. And that's the frustration of this time, is there are these like systems, I feel, that many people are having to operate through, whether this is institutional, whether this is familial, whether this is also systemic thinking or sort of like self-regulation, like the things that we believe we can and can't do, the things we allow ourselves to do and not to do. These long-running sort of life institutions, whether at the personal or collective level, they are not quite finished demonstrating what they have to demonstrate. So it feels also undercooked right now to be too grand in the shift that you need to make. However, that is coming in the 2024 year cycle, I feel, for a lot of people. So the best thing during this time is the physical form, I think. This new moon in Virgo, one of the things that was coming to me is it's like an insight delivery, because we had the Venus retrograde in Leo. The moon has come through Leo, and then it's also passed by the Mercury retrograde in Leo, and then it comes up to the sun. So it's kind of like studying the lessons of Venus and Mercury and what they were going through during their retrograde cycles, and then it's going to come to the sun and it's going to deliver an insight. So it's also very likely during this new moon in Virgo around the time of September 14th to learn of something that you did not know about, okay? This can also be learning something about yourself, like seeing your own weaknesses, okay? Those two retrogrades, Mercury and Venus retrograde in Leo and Virgo. There could be some type of like weakness that becomes clear to you, like not being able to control what you consume, okay? Being sort of like, there can be a lot of sudden realization with this new moon in Virgo, like, okay, that particular eating habit or that particular spending habit or this thing that feels so good to me, you know, maybe this very sugary food that is such, and it makes me feel so good during my day, is something that could cause diabetes eventually, or is something that could damage my teeth, or is something like, you know, these things that feel good in the moment but are ultimately damaging in the long run. Anything like that is going to become very apparent. So that's a great area of focus with this new moon in Virgo, is like understanding what is basically serving a short-term hit but is ultimately damaging in the long run. This has been something that's been like growing over these last like year and a half, ever since we had the Saturn-Uranus squares, where it's like, okay, we have two conflicting thoughts. Like, I want this because it feels good, even though it's not good for me. You see, that's a sort of conscience or mind in conflict, where we ever like prioritize or say yes to things that we know aren't right. Okay, imagine that. Imagine saying yes to something you know is not right. I mean, just that somewhat simple dichotomy is something that's really profound right now for the collective consciousness. And it's really trying to learn something during this time about that specific sort of, I suppose, human condition problem. Feeling like one has to allow what is damaging, or having the ability to reject it, like it not even being that hard necessarily to also replace with more healthy things, but not quite having the oomph to really do it. So this new moon in Virgo is a good time to summon that energy to actually do what's healthy and to kind of follow your gut. But the result is not quite here yet. So this reminds me of when people have a long journey in front of them, but they kind of want the end goal, therefore they don't embark the journey. Like that's kind of like the danger of this time, is like getting overwhelmed or worrying about the path in front of you. But it is an important time of embarking nonetheless. So if you have kind of like a long running situation, like for example, getting out of debt, weight loss or weight gain, any kind of like long running need to like bring the body, or also like the financial body or the house as well, into a greater area of alignment or well-being. It feels nice during this time to actually begin, okay? So starting new workout routines, starting new, these are the areas where we have really good control. Okay, 6th house areas, small changes. Remembering, okay, that large changes, if done too immediately, can be damaging and shocking. It's important to transition into transformation rather than be forced into change or to have to go too quickly. And I think a lot of us, with the immediacy of this current global economy, we can go out and get things immediately. We can get the dopamine hit on the social media app immediately. We can hear the song immediately. It's bringing such a fast running feeling of need and demand and hunger into a lot of people. And sometimes people lose touch with the longer running cycles and also the joy of prolonged gratification. Okay, so prolonged gratification, thinking about that, thinking about also some of your best victories in life would be good during this moon, and how long they took, what all the actions that coincided with them were. Were these immediate gratifications? Probably not. Some of the more rewarding aspects of life come through momentum and through building over time. So what are you interested in building over time? It may not be totally clear how that all comes together. Like this period of time may not be that totalistic, but we are building to a period of time that is. Okay, so by Scorpio and Sagittarius season of 2023, then from there until like June or July of 2024, there's a very powerful feeling of, how would I explain it? Like orchestration, okay, having a lot of different moving parts, having a lot of different things harmonizing together, bringing people together, teamwork, creation, and visualization becoming big. So there's also sort of like a mandala of sorts. You know what I'm talking about? Like a mandala that has like all these different shapes and geometries, but nonetheless there is an order, okay? But there's a difference at the same time. That's sort of what's shaping up, and that just takes a lot of devotion to vision, but it also takes continuance as well, and a geometry that is kind of like ordered and succinct at the same time. So we're learning here during this period of time about pairing both the succinct and the new, and we're learning in that way about the sort of like magic of momentum and creative drive, and like what it actually means to have a vision and to manifest that truly into the real world. But it's a lot of knowledge that's coming in here, and a lot of insight that is delivered again during this new moon in Virgo. And the most important thing is going to be healthy body and making sure that we are remembering our physical form as well. So this is kind of like an everything period of time, all right, where, and I've been preaching on this for like the last year, but it's like ever since we had calendar new year of 2023, but being so careful with these like things that get over focused, okay? To repeat an example that I've made before, my work life is perfect. I'm trying so hard, putting 110% into my career, making the right connections, really honoring my duties, honoring my commitments, doing everything perfectly. Meanwhile, my house and family and relationships are in utter chaos, and there's no order there, and I don't have any energy to give to any of that. You know, these imbalanced energetic regimes are something that this new moon in Virgo will no longer tolerate, okay? It's not just the new moon in Virgo, it's the general paradigm, but the new moon in Virgo is kind of like a catalyst for the final tolerance for that kind of like pointy or imbalanced energy regime. That is going to phase out here. So I just want to remind you guys of this, that the routine aspect is very important here. Also, the lifestyle or the sort of comprehensive life energy budget has to be very balanced during this time. If you have anything that's really imbalanced, if you're putting too much into one area, the circuit breaker of life sort of example that I was making as well in the August and September comprehensive astrology videos, try to get it as balanced as possible and try to just know, try to not overthink it. Okay, we've got a lot of overthinking with this Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and as well as many of these other placements. There's a lot of reflection that needs to be done here. There's a lot of formula simplification that needs to be done here as well. And it lends itself to overthinking. That's very easy during this time. So during the time that you're not thinking or contemplating or reflecting, try to just do what you know your body needs and try to balance out your life as much as possible. Also, it's a very nice time for new, invigorating, unexpectedly invigorating people, okay? We have, again, an insight delivered by this new moon as it approaches the sun on the 14th of September, coming from that Venus retrograde, coming from that Mercury retrograde. There is also, for some very lucky people, a delivering of like, this person is for you, okay? This location is for you. This reward or payout is for you. This is for you. It's almost like, oh, I'm getting chills. This is a support to your cause. Like you start a business or you start a movement or you start some kind of like cause, and immediately this new moon in Virgo, if you're in the right momentum, guys, if you're on the right track, there's a delivery, there's a gift, there's a support, there is something provided during this time. And if it's during this time, it's a really good sign. Like if you do get any kind of support, if you get like, wow, that this person gets me like no other person has gotten me, this is like soul tribe type of person, or this organization or this group of people supporting my organization or supporting my group of people is a powerful, powerful alliance. If there's anything like that, congratulations. There's going to be more opportunities for that over this next year. This would be one of the earliest sort of points of energetic contact like that, because there's still quite a few things that are indicating astrologically that we're still in the old familiar, okay? The old familiar spaces, the old familiar incomes, the previous types of people, okay? The conclusions on the previous relations. Interesting, another type of insight that could be delivered during this new moon is like a conclusion on a previous trauma, okay? Relationship traumas, right? The moon came up past Venus right as it went direct from its retrograde cycle in Leo. So the moon will then pass the retrograde Mercury. It's going to deliver. It's going to give an insight to the sun, right? Which is our conscious understanding and our expression as a person. It will give a delivery of like, that's where I went wrong in that relationship, or that's what that relationship was. That's who that was. So past confirmations will be here. And it's a good time to get that stuff out of the way so that you're not burdened by it, so that you have room to do what really matters. So congratulations, everyone. This is a great new moon. The next few months are going to be very, very crucial. Okay, it doesn't feel like it. It's a slower moving time. It's a more, it's a less demanding time, or it should be as well. But nonetheless, very crucial. If you're new, be sure to hit the subscribe button below. All 12 of the September readings are on Patreon if you would like more. They are ad-free, seamless, and very valuable with insight. Check out the Patreon page below to get all of the 12 September readings, as well as weekly forecasts, which are only available over there. And hit the thumbs up button as well. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great new moon in Virgo. And there will be a lot of great videos coming out soon on the channel. Talk to you soon. Bye.